All right. Hello. This is our 7 leadership techniques to improve employee engagement in the workplace, high level understanding. So, my name is Nathaniel Becker. I'm here with Jacqueline Negrete Mosqueda, right? Yeah, and William Horn. And we're going to just go over kind of what employee engagement is, why it's important to us, and then some strategies for us to implement it in the workplace as leaders of organizations. Um, I'll move this out the way real quick. So like I said, what is employee engagement? Why is it important? Why do we care? And then how do we go about implementing it in the workplace? We also have some obstacles that we're going to discuss, as well as a conclusion about how we can pull it all together. I'm not sure why it's negative. There we go. So what is employee engagement? So I did a little bit of digging. And according to Dutch psychologist Wilmar Schauffele or Schauffele, work engagement refers to the relationship of the employee with his or her work, whereas employee engagement may also include the relationship with the organization. I know that's a little bit dense, so I broke it down a little bit. He's saying that employee engagement has to do with the effort of the employees towards the job. It also maintains a motivational aspect where the employee identifies and puts in effort for the betterment of the organization. So essentially, it's not just how hard they work, but their motivation for also working has to do with the betterment of the organization. So they want to do better for the organization itself. Let's see what we got here. We got a video coming up. Can you guys still see this? Can you hear it? It's not working. All right, damn. Let me do this. Let's do that. You can still see it, right?
When we talk to managers about engagement, they always want to know, why bother with engagement? What's in it for the business? What's in it for me? We tell them it's quite simple. When employees are engaged, they perform better and your business grows. When people are engaged with their work, they're more likely to work hard, get better at their jobs, and stay with you for years and years. Not just stop by for a few months, then take their talents elsewhere. Thank you very much. Research indicates that engaged employees are 87% less likely to leave than disengaged. Engaged people come to work and do their job every day of the week with a smile on their face, not call in sick every rainy Monday. Recent findings show that engaged employees take an average of 2.69 sick days a year, compared with 6.19 days for disengaged employees. Engaged people treat their customers like royalty and tell them how great your organisation is. Not just say the things they're paid to say. Engaged people help your business to grow and grow because they share your goals and they're rewarded for caring. And how do we know? Because we've seen the proof in about 100 different organisations. Some managers spend so much time staring at numbers, they forget about them.
Okay. Just gonna go back to my head here. There we go. So in summation, those are some of the benefits of why employee engagement matters, right? Why as leaders do we care about it? So I don't know if our employees are going to go to work every day with a smile on their face, but we can try to help them with that. So now I'm going to pass it on to Jacqueline here, and she's going to talk about why some of the other important why is it important in the workplace.
All right, so why is employment engagement important to the workplace? So when an employee is engaged, they're more aware of their responsibilities and duties to the organization, and they also challenge and motivate themselves and their colleagues. This positive attitude will end up creating success for the organization and for the employee and, of course, the colleagues. The Gallup workplace audits sought that the measure of employment engagement is related to productivity, profitability, and employment retention and customer service.
Yeah, so we have another video, but just in the sake of time, we're not going to go through it. Some of the benefits that we see were mentioned in the previous video as well. And Jacqueline just mentioned some of those as well. It's just employee retention is one of the most expensive things a company, or if replacing employees is one of the most expensive things a company or an organization can actually do. So in order to keep the talent that you do have, and in order to add new talent, increasing your employee engagement is one of the strategies that you can do or you can utilize to really further your HR department and your talent within the company as a whole. All right, so this is, again, how can we improve that? So in the next few slides, we're going to just identify some strategies, 7 strategies in total, to improve employee engagement in the workplace. Some of these techniques won't apply for every organization, and similarly, some organizations may be able to implement many of them. Really, it's just going to come down to what your organization is like, and you can use a mixture of these. You can implement whatever you would like, and whatever makes sense for your organization. So I'm going to pass that on to William here.
Hey, so our first strategy is the reward system. I know we all like getting a little more money in our pocket. We found that through one of our sources that in a study done by Adrian Gostick and Chester Elton, they found that 79% of employees who quit their jobs at site, they left of lack of appreciation was one of the key reasons they left. So if you keep a moral high and you give them more in return for their work, they're more likely to stay with you. I personally have worked for the company, depending on how much, if you made a certain quota, they would increase your wage for a couple periods. And I'm sure there's many in my dad's company, depending on where you are in the company, they would give you different like gifts during Christmas time, different bonuses. An example would be implementing sales goals and financial and incentives based on performance. Our second strategy is providing opportunities for growth. There's many companies out there that already offer this. My brother works for a company that they would pay for a percentage of, if you want to go back to school, they would pay for that. Or if you want to get your certificate in a different kind of programming, just for you, not for the company. But at the end of the day, if you invest in your company and the employees of your company, that actually brings more value because you have more offer to different clients and such. Another way that you can get personal growth is a lot of companies do put jobs on their different boards, like Indeed. I know some companies have personal websites just for their employees in general to fill certain roles.
Yeah, and I'm just going to tag on to that. Some of these strategies that we did use, Indeed is a great platform for employers to put positions like William just said. But they also do a lot of surveying and data gathering. And we have actually taken some of the strategies from their own research and implemented them here for you all.
All right, so another strategy is to clearly communicate your company value, so your mission statement. And this really starts from the very top when the top people, the managers, and everybody really at the top has it down to their employees and they genuinely believe it. It keeps the culture that will keep the employees engaged and they'll encourage new employees to keep that company culture alive. So, for example, here we put McDonald's mission statement, which is to be our customers' favorite place and way to eat and drink. Another strategy is to give employees comprehensive training. So, like onboarding when you first start, your first week or so for training. But on top of onboarding, you also need to update your employees on any new knowledge. That way they can build their knowledge and skills through training so they feel like they have more freedom. Generally, when employees know more about their job, they feel more confident when working without supervision, which ultimately builds their self-efficacy and commitment to the organization as a whole. So our fifth strategy here is to gather employee feedback and implement changes based on said feedback. So this is two-way communication. The employees aren't just communicating, they need to know that they're being heard. And when there is a clear and consistent communication between both the employee and the employer, it will always be clear of what's expected from both the employee and the employer. Companies can develop a system which holds both managers and employees accountable for their engagement. Managers should create plans that are specific, measurable, accountable, and time-bound, especially based on said feedback that the employees have given. So for example, conducting a survey that helps discern the factors that contribute to the employee engagement or disengagement from the employee's perspective. The sixth strategy here is to build a culture of mutual trust. So this mutual trust starts with the managers and supervisors in order for the employee to be able to do his or her job effectively. In return, in order for the employee to do his or her job, he or she must have all the tools and materials needed along with the necessary authority.
Our seventh and final strategy is always be authentic/transparent. If there's always an open communication between management and employees at the company, there's no excuse for not knowing the information that either side needs to know. If you share information with your employees, that will earn your trust and you will gain trust in them. If you don't trust your employees, then you can't really rely on them to do the proper thing or follow their guidelines of the company. An example would be to hold monthly or quarterly meetings with employees to inform about the direction of the organization and even ask them for input of what you would like to see through your company.
Yeah, okay. So all of that's great. All of those strategies are really effective in helping to improve employee engagement and improve your employees identifying with your company and them feeling heard, them feeling a part of the decision-making process. But that's not necessarily realistic. It's not always going to be smooth sailing. And these are some of the obstacles that we found through our research that are common, but also very effective in preventing the employee engagement from increasing in your company. So lack of communication. So a lot of the strategies that we implemented were about trust and were about the transfer of information. So if employees are feeling left out or feeling like they don't actually know what's going on, their ability to identify with the decisions that are being made is much lower than they would be if they felt like they were being involved in the decision-making process. That goes hand in hand with lack of transparency. If they feel like the board of directors or whomever is making decisions is just making them, again, without their input or without even discussing them with them, and it's going to affect their work and their work environment, I think that's something that is really going to stir up some emotions pretty quickly. And then lastly, we also have over-communication. If you are too on top of things, communication saturation can really lead to employees feeling like what you have to say is unimportant because they hear it day in, day out, and it's just another thing that you say. So if we're going to try to implement new strategies to really make them feel heard, I think it has to be, not only do I think, but research backs up that it has to be something that is an initiative group wide, and it can't just be one person trying to push that.
All right, in conclusion, a company will grow and be successful if the employees are satisfied. But as well, also, the goal is not just to keep the higher up but the lower tier employees happy as well. And again, these are just some ways that you can use and implement into your own company to improve employee engagement. I'm just going to leave it as an example. A Gallup study of 23,000 businesses found that the business with engagement scores in the bottom quartile averaged 31 to 51% more employee turnover than those in the top quartile. And like we said earlier, that's like one of the biggest risk factors that companies go through. And so if you can keep those numbers down, then you can save money elsewhere. Thank you for listening to our presentation. My name is William, and thank you for joining Nathan and Jacqueline. You can have a good day.